I was scrolling through Twitter the other day and I kept seeing that the last good turn-based game was Final Fantasy X in like 2001. That's basically before I was even born. I think when I saw this trailer like sometime last year, I was instantly convinced that this would be a game that I would try out, purely from the fact that it's a turn-based but with a more realistic style and graphics. None of this anime ooh spiky hair guy with a big sword. No, this is not a JRPG. This is a JRPG made by a French studio of just 30 people. They decided to just make a masterpiece that would rival, I don't know, the Hall of Mirrors. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is truly a masterpiece that had my jaw dropping pretty much every single hour that I played. Yes, it's not a perfect game, and there are a few issues that I'll go over later, but wow, I think this game really deserves all the praise that it's getting. In this world, people live short lives because every year the paintress will wake up from her slumber and rewrite the number on the monolith, counting down each time. And for anyone's current age that matches the number painted on the monolith, they just die on the spot like they've been Thanos snapped. And each year the people of Lumiere send out a group of people on an expedition to stop the paintress from painting anymore. And as the title says, we follow the members of Expedition 33 and their experience in trying to stop the paintress. I don't really want to talk about the content of the story, as I think the best part was not knowing what was going to happen. The game is split into different acts, and each act was honestly crazy good, especially the ending part of each act. Kind of what you would expect in like a season finale of a TV show. The game starts off with a paralogue, and honestly, the paralogue and how it was structured was really good. I'm surprised that they didn't even make the prologue into a standalone demo. The main character is Gustav, who is a pretty pivotal member of Expedition 33, but in the prologue you play as his lover who is preparing her gommage, meaning she's about to die since it's the day that the paintress will paint her age. It's only been probably like 30 minutes into the game, and the lore is there, the emotion is there, the dialogue and the way that they portray it is there, and it's amazing. I'm the type of guy that just main quest, and ignore everything else, but walking down the street to the pier, I don't know, it just piqued my interest, and I took my time in talking to everyone and seeing what information I could glean from this world. It wasn't because I was forced to, it was because it was interesting. The content and the presentation of it was all interesting, and it's not something that even most AAA studios nowadays have been good at. Like I said, I don't want to delve into the actual content of the story, but taking everything as a whole, the pacing was really good, the story itself was very cool, the plot twist, the conclusion of certain storylines were amazing and satisfying, and the ending to the game, oh my god. Actual cinema. I mean, the entire game is just absolute cinema, and what's even more crazy is that there's going to be a movie based on this game. Now, I do hope that the movie explores more of like the previous expedition, like, I don't know, Expedition 60 or whatever, but that's a different topic for a different time. The graphics of this game, oh my. At first, I was worried with the opening cutscene. It was kind of blurry, kind of choppy since it was capped at 30 frames, and like, it still looked good, but at least for me, it was on the threshold of good enough. Then once it actually opened up into the actual gameplay, I was actually just stun-locked. Seeing a wide, beautiful view of Lumiere on max settings, 200 frames per second, it was truly stunning. And this game features many different biomes with different amazing views from beginning to end. The art direction of this game was truly amazing. The devs said I believe were inspired from games like Persona and older Final Fantasy games, and I think they really nailed the presentation part of this game in terms of the graphics. It felt unreal, and it really did show that they were inspired and loved these type of games. You can tell by the battle menus in combat, yeah, it's clearly inspired from Persona. I hope other games follow suit because Unreal Engine 5 is a really good engine if you can get away from like the default prefab, default setting like feel or whatever. You can have a strong art direction like here in Expedition 33, and it's just amazing. The characters are all amazing. Gustav, Lune, Mael, and Ciel are all great characters. Even the villains, other characters that I will not name because spoilers, are all visually cool and are written very well. They don't feel tropey that usually JRPGs fall victim to. These characters in Clair Obscur feel very realistic. It probably helps that the voice acting for these characters are all top notch. I mean, you got Ben Starr, who did Clive from Final Fantasy 16, Jennifer English, who did Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate 3, and Andy Serkis. I wonder how this small team even got these people. Anyways, it's really cool seeing these group of people evolve and change throughout their journey on this expedition. I never really explored while I was doing my initial playthrough because my playstyle is just bombing through the main quest even if I'm a bit underleveled. But after beating the game, I traveled around the world map to see what I was missing on. Turns out there are a lot of areas that are not mandatory to the main quest that you can explore. There's like a casino place that I still need to figure out how to get access to. There are beach areas with mini games that reward you with swimwear outfits. There's even a little fight club arenas that are like a 1v1 challenge that reward you with pictos. You can think of pictos like an equipable passive ability. And there's probably a lot more since I'm still exploring more of the world and completing the ending companion mission for each of my characters. And at least for me, I think it would have been nice if I could pull up a map when I'm in one of these zones, so it makes backtracking a bit easier and be able to cover areas that I didn't explore. In some of these zones, there are a lot of areas and things on the side that I didn't see or decided to skip because I didn't want to be dealing with a mime right before a big boss fight. And so if I had some sort of map, I would be more inclined to actually return and complete some of the activities I opted not to do, because then it kind of feels like I have to do this, or else it's going to be hard to come back to the spot if I wanted to. The combat is like a real-time turn-based style. Weird, I know, but surprisingly, it works. So like in a traditional turn-based style, maybe a bit more similar to something like Octopath Traveler, you can spend your AP points to do actions. Different skills require different amounts of AP. During your turn, you can also free aim and shoot enemy weak points with your gun. You can also keep firing as long as you have an action point, as each costs a point. To recover AP, you can just do a basic attack or parry attacks. Yes, you can do parry attacks in this turn-based style. Like in an Elden Ring fashion, when the enemy is attacking, you can perfectly time the parry to gain AP points and not take a single point of damage. You can also dodge these attacks at a more forgiving window, but you're not rewarded an AP point. It's interesting in concept, and the execution of it is amazing and works perfectly. Each character has their own different playstyle, and it's really cool to experiment and unlock more skills as you progress through the game. For me, Mael was the glass cannon. Whenever I had to level up her attributes, I would always do the holy trinity of DPS. Strength, agility, and luck, and nothing else. I would always have Lune ready to resurrect her whenever I accidentally messed up a parry. This happened quite often actually, and CL would constantly heal the team and provide a lot of buffs. I was doing a cringe Mael hyper carry comp and build, and I know that is probably the worst way to play it, but it's cool knowing that you can do all these cringe ways of playing and it still works. I can see a more balanced and proper team build, like having CL as a sub DPS or Lune being a main DPS, as she can do massive damage if you set up her magic stains correctly. The real fun were the boss fights. They were cinematic masterpieces. The music is bopping, the attacks to parry are going crazy, the animations are going crazy, and they're actually challenging. There's a few of them that were kinda gimmicky, but for the vast majority of them, they were really good fights. My favorite one is probably the one that looks like Rolana from Shadow of the Erdtree. That fight was crazy, and being able to perfectly parry a flurry of attacks from these bosses just makes it so satisfying to do. The sound effects, the feeling, and just knowing that you did everything perfect and being rewarded with no damage taken, surplus of AP, and doing a massive counterattack is a great feeling. There are some issues that I'll go into later, but overall, these boss fights are the highlight of this game's combat. This action-blended turn-based worked very well. Sure, it's not the most unique thing. From the top of my head, there's Sea of Stars that came out a couple years ago that had a parry mechanic in a turn-based setting, and I think Sonic the Dark Brotherhood on the DS had like a QTE-like mechanic off skill attacks. So what Clair Obscur Expedition 33 isn't particularly new, but it does it in a great and crisp way that presents itself in a very unique way. In terms of presentation, at least for me, it was unique. And I do hope there are more games in the future that follow suit. Who knows? Maybe Final Fantasy will do something like this with a remake of an older title. And like I said, by no means this is a perfect game. It does have its flaws. Like for one, being able to instantly restart a boss fight without having the need to rest, then walk up, sit through a small part of the cinematic, then skipping, is just really annoying. It feels like a waste of time that doesn't really benefit me as a player in any way. I believe in Metaphor, there's literally a button that you can press in the middle of a fight to just restart the fight. In other games, maybe Persona 2, after you die, you're given the option to instantly restart the boss fight. I'm fine with no checkpoints within a boss fight, but I'd love to get back into the fight and correct my mistakes faster. Another thing in boss fights I didn't like is that certain attacks from certain bosses have these long animations before the actual damage part happens. It's cool the first time, but then after that, I was kinda tempted to just look at my phone or something else because it was just pointless. For example, this one boss would do like this big tear effect on the background pretty much in slow motion, and a full salvo of missiles would come out and you would have to parry each one. The problem was that the animation time of tearing the background took way too long. The first time it was cool because my jaw dropped and I was like, what the heck is going on? But I feel like every time after that, just like, I don't know, just 2x speed that part or make a more speedy version of it. Because especially for me that got stuck on some of these bosses because I suck and was underleveled, looking at these long animations and not being able to do anything sucks. Probably not something that I can patch and update or anything, but I do hope they fix this on their next game. I do wish there were more uses of the merchants. I think it's cool that you can fight the merchants to buy special items from their wares, but I think in general, I think they weren't really needed. I think if they sold consumable items like potions that can only be used in the overworld, or repels, XP boosts or whatever, I think it would make better use of them. Surprisingly, there's a lot of traditional RPG elements in this game, like party-based battles, world map exploration, the classic traversal upgrades, the damage caps and all that, but it really felt like the economy side of the game was really lacking, and I always had an excess amount of money that wasn't really being used for anything. Nothing I wanted to save up for or something to stock up on. But I mean, the current state of it didn't make the current experience worse, but I feel like it could have easily made it better. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is truly a masterpiece. The soundtrack, the art style, the world, the characters, and especially the story are all very, very good and enjoyable. It's crazy to think that all of this was made by a team of 30 developers. You can easily mistake this as a proper AAA project with this level of detail and scale. And yes, there are some flaws, but at least for me, they're just small nitpicks that didn't affect my overall enjoyment of the game. And if I'm willing to overlook some of these flaws, it means that the rest of the system's mechanics and features are just that good to cover those flaws. When I saw the first trailer last year, the realistic art style and turn-based element was enough to get me interested and excited for the game. I was going in expecting the game to be decent. After spending 22 hours and beating the main campaign and now clocking in another 10 hours of doing the exploration side missions, I was more than blown away. This game is one-of-a-kind experience that I hope more people try out. I hope this game shows other people that turn-based games have never been outdated, as Expedition 33 is added on the growing list of amazing turn-based games. I can't wait for what Sandfall Interactive's new game, whether it's another Expedition game or another IP in a different genre. I can't wait to see what they cook up because Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has a really, really good shot at winning Game of the Year this year. Let me know what you guys think about Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Did you like it? Did you not? What was your favorite and least favorite thing about the game? Make sure to like the video and subscribe, as my goal is to get to 500 subs by the end of the month. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I appreciate you guys for watching.